Hi everyone, number one Marmaduke fan here. Today I'm looking at The Bag of Smiles. This is one I got from just collecting a bunch of either free or 25-cent kids books. And the original edition of this was published in 1993. This edition comes from 1996. It's part of the Sunshine Reading Literacy program, and they give you with kind of a rainbow guideline at what stage the child would be to start reading this on their own, from an emergent reader to early fluency to being fluent. So that's not the biggest concern for me. And when I look at these, I'm more interested in the illustration style and the pacing of the short story. And what I would describe this as is a clever contemporary spin on a just so stories. Just so stories are explanations of how something in nature came to be while telling a tall tale, like how the elephant got its snout. So The Bag of Smiles, our author is Joy Cowley, and the illustrations are by Philip Webb. I've seen Philip Webb somewhere before, and he has what I'd call sort of a general cartoony children's illustration style. Everything's bright, everything's sunshiny. And this is a very straightforward tale, but it has a few moments in it of like a special humor where I think the pacing was done well. So the setup is, once upon a time there was a king who was very unhappy, and because he's unhappy, he wants all his subjects to be unhappy too. What I like about that is essentially the idea of sharing misery. If I have a problem, I've got to make it everyone's problem. So the king actually has a negative character trait that you could identify, I don't know, maybe in the American political system. I really like how the pictures tell the story quite nicely, even without the words. And the sign. If the child can read a few words on the sign, they get a whole setup just from this first picture. And I really dig these abstracted lions with their elongated faces. So, of all the people in the kingdom, there's this farmer and his wife who are known for being very happy. They smile so much they even smile in their sleep. And the king comes along in an outrage over their happiness. And he says, "How dare you laugh all day and smile in your sleep? I will take your smiles away." I love that he knows that they smile in their sleep. Does he have surveillance or something? Who cares? It's a fun call out to a earlier humorous moment. So it's not beating a gag. It's not a running gag in the sense that it's just beating a gag to death. Like if something's unfunny the first time and then they repeat it 2 or 3 more times, you just groan more every time. This is taking something charming from the earlier page and repeating it and actually making it funnier, because now it's funny that the silly negative king is not only concerned that they smile, he's concerned that they smile in their sleep. And then he takes the smiles and puts them in his black bag. So this is the introduction of a fantasy element to this, that he can physically remove the smiles, and he holds the drawn line of the smile in his bag. So he's taken the farmer's and his wife's smiles, the dog, the cat, and the chickens. So if you look earlier here, every character has that little black line. Now they're gone into the black bag. So the people, somehow, there's some sort of political revolution, and they bring in a new king who is a joyful man, and now everyone in the kingdom can laugh and smile again. But the farmer and his wife and the dog and the cat and the chickens, their smiles are still at the bottom of the sea. So something I like about this is the idea of there being consequences that aren't immediately overdone just because there's a change in the political regime. The damage done to the farmer and his wife by a tyrannical king still hurts them. So they go to the new king seeking aid, and he has a pet dolphin with no mouth on it whatsoever. And the dolphin dives down and grabs the bag out of the ocean and lifts it up. But 5 smiles fall out of the bag and land on the dolphin. And what it turns out is that the dolphin was able to get everyone's smiles, the farmer, his wife, the dog, and the cat, but he wasn't able to get the chickens' smiles. Where were the smiles for the chickens? There were no smiles in the bag for them. Even today, chickens never smile. So, boom, just became a Just So story at the end as a punchline. And what I love about Just So stories is that kids can then recognize that in nature. They can look at a chicken's beak and say, "Oh, a chicken's beak doesn't smile, but a human being can smile." I mean, dogs probably don't smile in the way that we do, but they can sometimes move their lips in a way that evokes the idea of a smile. So I'm not going to show the last page. It just shows the dolphin and ends by saying that a dolphin smile is so big it looks like 5 smiles all in one from the chickens. So this isn't the most groundbreaking children's story I've read. Some of the children's stories I read, they are so powerful that they can even speak to you as an adult. But this is a charming and clever story that uses the just so formula to give it more punch than just they lost their smiles, they got them back. It gives you a twist at the end. So, yeah, and Philip Webb, I described this as fun and bouncy illustration. It's fitting with the tone of the story, and he is a what kind of cartoonist is he? Philip Webb has a loose cartoon style that works perfectly for the for the tone of this book. So, why do I do this? I do this because I am collecting styles. So Philip Webb, I don't look at it and say, oh, wow, this is Charles Schulz. I'm so excited. Wow, wow, wow. But I look at this and then I remember it. And I remember that Philip Webb has a way of cartooning that's different than the way Charles Schulz cartoons, or the way that, I don't know, John Romita would draw Spider-Man comics back in the 60s. And then I keep that as a reference point in my imagination and I save it for later. And I also remember to maybe go check out Philip Webb the next time I see him illustrating a book. So I would recommend this. I'm sure this since I got it used, this probably came from a whole collection of books that were part of the Sunshine Reading Program. And yeah, I find this has my artist seal of approval. A #1 Marmaduke fan. Love you guys. Catch